Hello. Sorry, I got some problem with the playback, obviously. Um, but okay, I guess I'm streaming. That's cool. There are a few unknowns in my setup today, so I'm not sure I'm doing this completely right. Anyway, my name is Goran Mekic. You're watching Tilda Center stream about FreeBSD, specifically about CBSD and Reggae. Those are two complementary tools to achieve some of the common DevOps stuff, creating jails, destroying, and some of the development. Not much of it is used in production. It's trying to stay out of the way of production. I mean, Reggae. CBSD is the main tool on the server. So, I want to show you how you can create your own service, manage it or not, meaning having a automated provisioner, or maybe you choose not to for whatever reason. And it's unfortunate that it's not so clear how to transition from an idea over jail, experiment, then how do you go to production with it eventually. So we're gonna cover some basic Reggae creation tool. Okay, actually, let's say we want to create jails. I'm doing this in temporary directory because I'm probably not gonna want to keep this. But let's say some temporary jails are here, and I want to create more of a skeleton that is going to create a jail. So let's come up with a service. Let's say we need something for Tilda, and you say, okay, this is where my stuff for the jail will be, my automation and so on. And I name it like this, and I say Reggae in it. I can add Ansible or Shell or something else, but later. Now we're just going to initialize. What's going to happen is that this command is going to read the directory, it's tilde, and it's going to name the service same as the directory it's sitting in. And it's going to have some boilerplate for the Reggae service to get started and stopped and so on. And you probably want well, something like this. If you're not using Ansible, this is probably not what you need, but this is a generic gitignore that you get with initialization. So if you ever add Ansible then you're not going to commit the gibberish, right? So it's pretty minimal what you get. It's basically what you ignore some 3-line rules and test script that basically doesn't do anything. It's not much, right? And the most of it is actually hiding in here, and that's where the magic is going to happen. So we just need to name our service, and which we did with directory, and it's going to be added here. You can, if you want, you can change it to something else, like the full name, but for the sake of this experiment, we're just gonna leave it like this. It's nice and short. And then when you type make, it's gonna ask you for sudo password, or you already entered that sudo password and you don't have to. So now what's gonna happen is that oh no, wait. No. I already had a jail with same name and it used that one, so I want to destroy it. Now when you type make and enter, this is what CBSD is going to propose, and there's some automation for jail to become what Reggae expects. One is installing necessary packages, and this is the one I think about right now. Last week I mentioned that it supports IPv6, so in the future I wanted to be able to use that. So yeah, there are going to be some steps on Reggae and CBSD behalf to get the jail up, and you get something like this. And you can log into it like this, and now we're inside the jail. So wait, there's I forgot which one. Yeah. Luckily it's the last one. So you can see it's jailed, and you can see the jail has VNET. Right, the two that are of interest are at the bottom, luckily. Anyway, you can see that a lot of tunables around jail or in security, because jail is a security feature after all. I mean, one of the purposes of jail is separation of concerns, which is basically a security stuff. And how do you separate that stuff is with permissions. Ultimately with some permissions on some level, maybe user space, maybe kernel space, but whenever you talk about separation, it's permissions, how it's implemented, well, like 99%. So jail is ultimately a security feature of FreeBSD. Sorry. And you can separate, well, whatever. If you're a security researcher, then probably something malicious in it. And if you're just administrator, it's nicer to have a problem separated into multiple services. And that's what we are going to do on this, well, course, if you like. Probably not today, but we're going to cover it ultimately. So, network-wise, you're gonna get one, if you come from Linux, maybe a bit older Linux, you remember ETH0, and it's gonna get some address and ideally some IPv6 in the future, but yeah, we're not there yet. There is something running inside this jail, right? Log SSH cron. It's what you would expect for the, let's just this time call it a virtual machine, virtual resource. Sorry. It's what you would expect if you have virtual resource you can access via SSH. At least I would expect logging and cron to work, right? And it's a really nice that with VNET, whatever it is at this point, I'm gonna cover it just a little bit, not into too much depth in the future, but it's what gives us ability to have DHCP inside the jail. If we want PF inside the jail, you can have your own ARP table. If you don't know what ARP table is, it's like a list of neighbors on my network that I know about. It's a little bit deeper than that, but for the purposes of administration of jail, VNET is what provides jail ability to have its own ARP table, its own network interface. I mean, this is ePair, but renamed, but we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there what it means from operating system perspective, how you can achieve that even if you're not using CBSD. So the purpose is to reveal all the magic that Reggae and CBSD do for you. So did you see that there's actually no magic? It was everything's in the kernel already. But yeah, the idea is that your virtual resource becomes container becomes more like a virtual machine and vice versa. So what I constantly see is that there is this, let's call it a trend that unify either containers, either virtual machine. So that's one of the ideas, and it's network is one of the parts where that unification needed to happen for FreeBSD 12. I mean, VNET became part of generic kernel build in FreeBSD 12. And that's when all these nice things were released into the wider audience. With incoming IPv6, I think being able to protect yourself on the network per container, like have firewall rules per container, I think it's important. It's much easier to follow, and simply it's structured. Now let's go outside of jail. What happened here, I typed Control D and I logged out of the running shell, which was the process I was running inside the jail, which ended, right? And that's why I'm back on this prompt again. So I promised that there is something with IP addresses that is going on. Obviously I was experimenting something, so this is not the only experiment, but you can see this IP address is here. And I can be pretty much confident that this is going to work. If I try to ping something outside, it's going to work. Actually, let's be nice, right? So the network works. The network works. Anyway, Ifconfig, if you're coming from Linux, newer flavor-ish, you probably got used to IP address and SS and so on. But actually Ifconfig has a pretty nice interface, and I don't know, if anything needed to be changed in Ifconfig, why wasn't it, right? But yeah, my point is that it can you can kind of feel that FreeBSD is old, but actually the how to say, design principles are old, but it's pretty much updated. It's I mean, if you look at a Git repository, the development happens every day. So what I'm trying to say, although there's Ifconfig, the myth that it's old is coming from Linux. And maybe it's all there, I don't know. I actually haven't seen the code nor encountered any problems with it, even on Linux, but okay. So you have a pretty much standard FreeBSD box here that says, okay, just do some like maintenance, being able to access the machine and setting some host name so it's accessible from the host by name. And yeah, if you look at it, it's just another CBSD machine. You can also log in like this, and it's gonna work perfectly. That's what's going on under the hood when you actually type this. Or you can say, give me devil user. This is not going to work right now because there is no devil user right now, but I know I think this one, yeah, I know that there is one user that is able to be logged in and that it's not root. So with just a little bit of commands, right, all I did was this. You got the whole VNET jail CBSD thing running in no time. And that's the point of Reggae. The point of CBSDs being sorry. Being the tool that provides the core for the beehive and jails having a common interface, And it's core in a way that there are many functionalities that you can imagine you will need in your jail or CBSD to support it. When I say core, that means that CBSD has modules that have extra functionalities that you can apply to your. Well, today I'm gonna just talk about jails, not virtual machines. So everything is about the jail right now. But modules for CBSD are not uh, how to say, necessarily container specific. They might not even be about containers, but maybe registering a jail at some, I don't know, service directory. Uh, there is a lot of going on in the CBSD ecosystem that can be used for your benefit as a system administrator. That is just not part of the core, and that was kind of the idea. We don't want to bloat while we don't want to impose any limits. And having modules is such a nice way of achieving both. Okay, so we saw that we can create it really fast, and let's say if you run it twice, it's going to overwrite your files. So don't if the data is important. I want it to overwrite it. If you give a second, like a argument to this init, it's gonna treat it as a name of what is known a provisioner. Provisioner is some software, in this case just plain old shell, but it can be Ansible, Chef, SoulStack, Puppet, if I haven't said it. Everything I know that exists out there that can be used for provisioning is basically supported, and the shell is the simplest one. What you get with the shell is this. Okay. This is gonna say, okay, I'm using these provisioners, because basically you can here say, okay, I'm using 2 provisioners or 3 or more. So everything you've done here is going to be listed as a provisioner here in the same order. I'm not sure is it important to be in the same order or not, but if you don't care, well, you don't care. If you do care, then it's the order is preserved, so you can initialize something with the shell just enough for Ansible to kick in, for example. And let's see what it does. It creates a shell script, and the shell script doesn't really say much, right? Basically, ID of the user and the path of the script, the executable used to actually run this provision. Because sometimes file can be links, and how you executed it does not mean it's the name of the file that the code is in, and so on. So you can check that with this $0. And if you want to provision a service, right, Now this is a really dumb provisioner. It doesn't actually do anything. You can see how it was run, and /root is definitely not where this is, but it somehow copied needed files and executed them there. I didn't want to share files with the jail, because if you want to provision a remote machine, I wanted my shell provisioner to copy all the files it needs and then executes them there. That's why there's a shell directory. So it basically recursively copies this whole directory called shell and places it, where is it? Oh, right here, root shell. And if you do something with the provision, let's say I need some packages, and just say package install Vim console, for example, and you do provision now, it's gonna ask you, so it's not good. Yeah, I forgot something. Because this is automation, it must be... What? What did I type? Oh my god. Alright. It must be without questions, right? It's unattended, and you probably want it that way. At least the chunks of your automation are going to be unattended, and then some passwords and so on. So this is what provisioning does. And you can do, well, let's see what you can do. I use shell and Ansible Provisioners, so I'm going to show you shell and Ansible Provisioners so I don't embarrass myself. Alright, now here it's gonna happen a little bit more. The jail is going to be created just like it was. First, it's going to use dhclient to get the address, then do some bootstrap, and it's going to install and switch to dhcpcd. And you can see that Python is going to be runaway. Okay, the Python is going to be installed so the Ansible can be executed, and there is one check that is being done. Yeah, there is one love project that assembles Ansible roles suitable for, well, FreeBSD and CBSD, among others, because OneLove is actually web front end for Ansible, so it needs some roles to operate, and it's really cool that we can use them. I mean, no wonder I kind of co-author that software, so it's well integrated. Anyway, there are some roles in Ansible that are specific for CBSD, like not maybe for CBSD, but for FreeBSD definitely, and maybe to the way how I like to run stuff. like I like to have this installed because this is a package containing all the public certificates of how to say of those that issue your public SSL key, right, and certificate. So it's who do I trust is basically this package, and a lot of services is going to need that. So Ansible for Reggae in this common FreeBSD common is going to install that package and well do some stuff like stop send mail and disable it totally and see if there's any devil user that needs to be configured and so on. So this is like setting the minimum configuration that the rest of the services, rest of the Ansible roles are going to use, and it actually let me show that. It's in Ansible, then roles, then it downloaded it here. Then you have some variables in it, like this is probably going to extend to a few languages, but these are the current values for Python and PHP. It's obviously the most common problem that I encounter, either Python or PHP. So those two are first to be here. Obviously there's a vast amount of languages that could be supported, and over time they will. So when I say the common lays the common ground for the rest of the services, it's mostly these variables that other services can use to install stuff. And if there's I don't know what is current Python, I think 3.10, and sorry, if this jumps to 10, then all services just need to update their common, and that's like a normal thingy in Ansible world. How do you update your roles, right? So the common just lays the common ground for all the other roles that you're going to write. And this is actual file in the templates that you need to change, because from this is generated every time, and if you change this, it's going to be overwritten by this. Obviously the difference is this service name that is going to be inserted. Service name being the jail where your service actually is. So that's how Reggae communicates with the Ansible. Where do you run this this Ansible service and role? So this is part of, let's call it a glue of integration between Reggae, CBSD, and Ansible, where how do I actually execute the command that Ansible needs to be. So Ansible is a really huge topic. Any provisioner is a huge topic, and I'm just gonna leave it here on the on a lightly scratched surface of provisioners today to show you one more thing that the Reggae is all about. So you can see that you can create a service really easy, and it's something you might want to make independent of all other jails or not. If it's independent, then okay, cool, that's it. You write your roles in Ansible or shell or whatever you use to provision it, and you're done, basically. Yeah. No, you're not. So you bring it down, for example, and you say, I want to be real consistent. You bring it down and then you export it. And you say, this is the service that I built on some machine, maybe my desktop, maybe some CI/CD build machine, wherever. And this is probably what's going to happen next. You're gonna run make export, and if we would, actually, let me try that. If we would run this, you see that there is a CBSD command export, right? That Reggae is actually running. This is what's going on under the hood. And for CBSD under the hood, this is what's going on. Okay, export it here, then Reggae is gonna, if it succeeds, it's gonna take it from here and put it into, I'm gonna show you where. And yeah, there's quite a few arguments here. What I want to show you is that it's just a chain of commands well, as author, obviously, I think all the best about the software, but it's all about nicely separating your projects, meaning what does CBSD does, what does CBSD do, what does Reggae cover, and this is how it looks like when they all integrate. And when this finishes, eventually, you're gonna get directory 100%. Hello. Why 100% doesn't mean the end in this case is because this file is going to be moved from here, which is one data point. Oh, no, I'm lying. It happened only here. Anyway, this is where your image will be. And if you actually take a look at it, it's some gibberish data. But what really happened is that it's an exe archive with metadata. File doesn't know about CBSD image format, so this is why it says data, but basically that's what's contained in there, roughly speaking. Now you can do sorry, actually, let me show you what you can do. Make destroy. Ta-da! And then, if you imagine this is completely different machine, which doesn't have this tilde jail, but we transferred an image there, you can use this and you can recreate the jail from an image. Right, pretty big deal that we can do this, because you probably want to separate build from hosting most of the time. Like, I don't know, Purger, for example, disables network for the jail that is doing the actual build after fetch, because there is fetch, go fetch, right? If you're trying something, sorry, during, I don't know, configuration, well, no can do. What do I, yeah. So you can see the basically same old story. I mean, it's a different IP address, hardware address, Mac, and so on. But if you look at a list of packages, you can see that Python is here. So that came with the need for Ansible to run its own stuff. Their CPCD is here, right? So kind of big deal is that you can recreate the whole jail from the image, together with maybe custom mount points and all the nasty stuff we're going to cover over the following few weeks. It's quite a huge topic. So you can say, okay, well, this is all nice, this is all neat, but how about I don't know, I'm a hosting provider. I host whatever you want. WordPress. Let's be nasty to WordPress. And you're going to say, okay, that the amount of time that I see that I'm going to use nginx and MySQL is enormous, right, per project. And you probably don't want to do it all the time. You just want to do customization, but not all the work all the time, right? You want to concentrate on the differences. So Reggae comes with the concept of a project that contains multiple services. It's nothing more than a glorified list of services that Reggae can run, but it becomes handy in some complex scenarios, and I'm gonna show you one. Not right now. We need more ground to cover right now, but I am going to show you a pretty complex service that kind of tells you why this way is preferred. For now, there is init, but there is also project in it, and it's gonna do similar thing. It's going to ignore some things, like ignore services. They're going to have their own repositories, and create a makefile. And it's a pretty basic makefile. It almost has nothing in it. And okay, let's say that this tilde service. Oh no, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. What I wanted to do, services, and then tilde inside services. Not yet, because I need to bring it down first. If something is mounted, I don't want to mounts be in the way. So yeah, what I wanted is services to be in services, And now it's the same. You basically can bring it up. And it behaves just like before. Okay. Now, if I here say make down, nothing will happen. Wow, quite a project. It doesn't do anything. But if I uncomment this, I call it tilde, and I say we are tilde center website. For example, let's say it's a website. And I do something like this, it's gonna say, okay, tilde is already up. And on a level of a project, I can bring the services down. Now there's a basically pattern emerging. There is make this, make that inside a service or a project. They basically do the same stuff. It's either project specific or service specific, right? So if I load this makefile and say, yes, well, I'm certainly going to need, let's encrypt an nginx. Maybe this is without a database and I don't care about that, but I'm certainly going to use these two. And you can say, well, use it, right? What does that mean? That means that Reggae has a list of services that you can use. Let's encrypt and nginx or being one of them. And actually, we're not going to wait for nginx to finish because it takes ages to generate DH parameters. It's really long, but maybe I have nginx already built, so it's going to be short. But the point here is that even if you intend to host everything yourself, you don't need to start from, oh, look at that. All right. Because this is 37 here, I know that this role doesn't use the common one and the variables from the common one. So there's something to fix. But whenever you run provision successfully or otherwise, it's gonna say, okay, I run this. Next time you want me to run provisioning, type make provision. And you said that let's encrypt this first, tilde second, and now nginx. There is a concept of a pre and post dependency of a service. Nginx is obviously the last one in the row, meaning that you probably want let's encrypt first, then the database, then your website, the backend, then nginx to connect it all and use the certificate from let's encrypt and so on. So you see that it's going to, this DH param is insanely long and we're gonna quit it. Now if you say make, just the jails are brought up. Obviously nginx doesn't work and cannot work because there's a piece of info that is missing and would fail if I would try to store it now. I just wanted to show the concept of a project and what it can contain, and you can even say, okay, I changed my mind, I want PostgreSQL on this project, now go make me a sandwich. And it does. So this is a way to um, type less, to do less and let others do your work for you, ideally. So there's quite a list of services that can be used. Unfortunately, right now in one make file, in one text file, but idea is to expose, because that's one of the latest features added to Reggae. That's why it's so rough and unpolished. Idea was to come up with like a user-facing variables and API, if you will, the syntax of the file that can be used regardless of where the info is in the file, in some backend service that is going to be queried later on, and so on. So if you as a user of Reggae is having services in your project, this use syntax is going to be retained, but what Reggae does in the background is going to be changed for a simple reason of having a backend service that can where you can publish. Right? Something like inspiration for that is Ansible Galaxy, where they're just hosting like a registry where the roles actually are, and I kind of find it really handy to manage your roles that way. And why not services in the same manner, right? This can always be your private repository where you can access only via SSH key that Reggae is going to use also. Actually, it doesn't know it will use it. It will just run git clone, but ultimately it can use your credentials if you let it. So this is how you can even have multiple services of your own. Like I don't know. Right? So if you ask it now to print services, it will tell you these. Does it have this? Yes. Okay. There is, because there's a pre-service, service, post-service, there is a need to give me just the services and give me all the services that you're going to encompass with this project and that you're going to use. And that's what print and print services and print services all is all about. Either give me just the services or include the use one. You can say, is it this? No. Right. Service URLs and service names. Okay. All they all accept this all equals yes, or default is all equals no. It's not. Here's a bug. Okay, so I can basically type anything, right? Okay, if all is defined, then yeah, you cannot disable it. There's one feature to be added, right? But because this I don't know is not actually a service, I'm gonna remove it from here. And no, one more thing. There is this file that you can create that is in gitignore by default, this vars.mk, that you can say devil mode, for example, equals yes. Now if I go down, you can see that automatic start is disabled for the service. Actually, get them all down. Now it's done for nginx also, and let's encrypt. Okay, give me just a sec. Oh yeah, we have PostgreSQL now. Yeah, and now if I type make, it's gonna bring them all up, and this vars mk from project is going to be propagated to services. Actually, not the whole file, just some variables. If you need some variables more, then you can use per service vars.mk, or in more complex situations, there's you can generate configuration, for example, in a setup target of make and so on. I mean, you can do crazy stuff. Anyway, what I wanted to show you is first, now you have a service for the login on a level of a project, and we have tilde here, and now you can log in like this, but you can also have a user that is devil, and the whole no. Okay, I know why this is going on. There should be a login, not login, sorry, mount of my files under user source if I say devil equals yes, but switching back and forth to the devil mode is, it doesn't always do you good. Switching off the devil mode, it will clean everything, but switching it on doesn't always get you the right stuff. So sometimes you just need to go down, and what actually happens, you can see these vars, they are reflected in this project mk, and devil mode equals yes. Okay, so let's see if I'm right or I have another bug. And yeah, the whole thing I talked about last week. I have a bug. Okay. I talked about last week applies, right? You would, if there was no bug, you would have your source here, your bin in it. Actually, what do I have here? Oh, and you didn't mount it. Not the one. Why? Okay, that's something to be found out. And this is why Reggae was born. So you could have multiple services organized inside your project. And, well, for now you're gonna have to trust me on it, but the idea was to bring containers and virtual machines under the same project. So you can combine virtual machines and jails and different operating systems under the same project, under the same umbrella. So make up, make down, do what you would expect. So I was talking only about the jails today. I left out the part about the virtual machines. That's gonna be some of the future lectures, and I obviously need to fix some bugs. How was it? Make print. No, not print. Right. So this is the one, and mounting the in devil mode is the second. But you can see the general idea. It's enabling either system administrator or developer to get some surrounding environment, surrounding services really fast, up and running, so he or she could try out new idea or a software or attempt importing, FreeBSD ports or something like that. All right, the idea is to get your environment really fast. Well, definition of fast varies, but the idea was to get it fast. The question is whether I succeeded. I would like to thank you. That would be all for, well, here it's night, for tonight. If you consider us useful, check out this website. Especially, there is this section that will lead you to our playlists. We talk more than just about FreeBSD. We try to cover IT knowledge, to put it shortly. So check out, maybe there's something for you. We used to record in Serbian, our native. Now we're heavily recording on English, trying to catch up so we can kind of balance. And if you find us worthy, check out Patreon page and consider donating. Our mission, our statement is that all lectures are always going to be free forever. If they are taken down, then we're gonna really try to get them somewhere public. So please consider donating. Thank you for your attention, and see you next week.